excuse. Said the day just wouldn't end. I set his plate beside his chair and smiled like nothing needed to mend. He barely asked how I'd been doing, didn't notice how I held my breath. Love shouldn't feel like waiting quietly for someone's heart to take one more step. I stayed anyway, though he pulled away, holding on to promises growing thin. I stayed anyway, hoping day by day he'd remember how we used to let each other in. I folded laundry by the window, watching neighbors pass in pairs. Funny how the smallest silence makes you wonder who still cares. I stayed anyway, though he pulled away, trying to keep what he'd begun to lose. I stayed anyway, believing we could stay, even when he gave me fewer signs to choose. There comes a point you face the truth. Love won't grow where it's not held, and all the trying in the world can't fix something he never felt. I stayed anyway, though he pulled away. But tonight I finally hear my own heart speak. I stayed anyway, but not today. This time I'll choose the strength I didn't know I'd keep. And as I walk out with my head held high, I leave behind the woman who only stayed to try. Stories from the week, but lately all his answers have grown quiet, soft and brief. I tried to start a conversation, asked him how his long day went. He nodded once and looked away, like each word felt too heavy to spend. He spoke less as I held for the man I used to know. He spoke less, and the space grew strong between the places where our love would go. I made his supper like I always do, set his plate where he should sit. He thanked me in a quiet tone, but his smile didn't seem to fit. He spoke less, and the nights grew long with all the things he never tried to say. I learned you can't keep waiting for a heart that's drifting out of reach. Sometimes silence tells a truth that words could never teach. He spoke less as I held on, until holding on felt lonely and unkind. He spoke less, and my strength grew strong, enough to leave the quiet far behind. And as I shut the door this morning, I carried what he couldn't give in time: my voice, my hope, and a life that's finally mine. I folded laundry on a Tuesday, just the way I always do. His shirt was missing from the pile, a quiet sign I tried not to read through. He's been coming home much later, talking less with every day. Though he never says what's wrong, I can feel him slowly pulling away. Still wearing his ring, though the shine's grown thin, holding on to vows he's forgotten how to keep. Still wearing his ring, though he wanders again, trying to believe our promises run deep. The neighbors ask if we're alright. I smile and say we're doing fine. But when I set 2 plates at supper, I'm the only one that waits on time. Still wearing his ring, though the shine's grown thin, choosing hope in places he stopped looking for. Still wearing his ring, though he wanders again, wishing he'd remember who he once loved more. I keep the photograph on the dresser, the one where he swore he'd stay. Some nights I trace the edges softly, wondering when that promise slipped away. Still wearing his ring, though the shine's grown thin, and I'm learning what it costs to stay this strong. Still wearing his ring, though he's drifting again, hoping one day he'll find his way back where we belong. Until then, I'll hold my quiet space and the ring he placed on my hand. slow, listening for his steps again. The clock kept moving past the hours where love once felt like it could depend. He walked in quiet in the morning, didn't try to meet my eyes. I asked him if he needed something. He just muttered, "Please don't start tonight." He slept elsewhere while I stayed here, holding on to vows he let go first. He slept elsewhere year after year, and I kept hoping loyalty could heal the hurt. Shirt across the dresser, the one he used to wear with pride. Funny how a simple piece of cotton can remind you what you lost inside. He slept elsewhere while I stayed here, trying to fix a home he wouldn't fight for. He slept elsewhere, and it's now so clear you can't save love that won't walk through the door. I've forgiven more than I should've, held my tears behind a steady face. But even strength has its ending, and even loyalty needs a resting place. He slept elsewhere while I stayed here, but tonight I'm packing what belongs to me. He slept elsewhere, but my heart's sincere. I'm choosing a future where I can finally breathe. And as I close the door behind me, I take back the love I once begged him to see.